going to give an intro now to this very intense topic. The topic is, I feel emotionally disconnected from Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, or I feel very negative emotions. I'm triggered in a very negative way by these days, by this time of the year. It's very difficult for me. It's emotionally extremely burdensome and maybe painful and maybe even worse for some people. And this is a special workshop, a pre-Rosh Hashanah workshop for people who experience pain and anxiety and stress, especially around this time of the year, what we call the high holidays, the Yom Noraim, Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Seres Yemei Tshuva, Yom Kippur, etc. And we want to be here very real, very authentic, very compassionate, and most importantly, very open. Everybody should be able to feel that you can share what's on your mind and what's on your heart, and together supporting each other with love and lack of judgment in a negative way. Of course, we can all grow and find deeper places of confidence and comfort and healing within ourselves. So over the next 25 minutes, I'm going to address a few fundamental ideas that I think can be extremely, extremely helpful. Oops, sorry, my laptop just fell. That I think can be extremely helpful for all of us. And then we're going to go straight to questions. And as I said, everybody can ask whatever you want. There's no taboo, and you don't have to hold back from any question. Okay, this is a place where every question is accepted and embraced with full dignity. You don't have to be embarrassed or shy or think you're going to be cut down or knocked down or scrutinized or penalized for sharing what's on your mind and that's your heart. Because if, I should say this at the onset, if the whole experience of the holiest days of the Jewish calendar can only be experienced if I'm not being honest with my emotions, and if I can't share myself and yourself with your totality, then is it really worth anything? If the entire relationship that I have with Judaism, with myself, with my family, with God, with my spouse, with religion, with life, is in a way that I have to amputate 50% of my personality or 70% of my personality, tie my hands behind my back and cut off half of my heart and half of my brain, obviously it's a very, very impoverished and a very poor relationship. So the foundation of all these days is that these are days of real openness, when we really want to be able to open up. And openness means I open up about everything that's going on within my life. Now, I'm going to say a few ideas. And I'm going to say this on the onset. These ideas will be worthless if they're heard through the brain. I know we're Jews. We like using our brain. We like using our heads. I'm also a Jew. I know what that's about. But they're going to be worthless or almost worthless. What I'm going to ask of myself and of you encourages as much as possible, be able to listen to me, not with your brain, but to listen to me with your body. In other words, if your body can trust these words, if it could be somewhat of a somatic experience to the best of our ability, but if you could just try to absorb this, not with another idea, another lecture, another shiur, another kvetch, another pilpul, another lecture by Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, another clip, but really, if I and you can hear this viscerally, with our gut, with our kishkas, with our heart, in our nervous system, it will be far more effective. Okay, insight number one, perspective number one. Rosh Hashanah is defined as the day of coronation. It's the day when we coronate the Rebbeinu Shalom God as the king. And if you look at the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, that is the most predominant theme in the Shemona Esrei, and in most of the davening and prayers of Rosh Hashanah is what does we coronate you? We coronate God. Ki as Shofar Reb Sadia Gaon says is because that's what they did when they coronated kings they blew the sound, they blew the ram's horn, and the blasts represented the coronation of a new king. In England, they're soon going to be coronating a new king, Charles III, and you'll see the pomp in which the British do it. So Rosh Hashanah is some type of taste. It's not King Charles III. It's Lahavdil, the King of Kings, Malach Malchem. What does this even mean? What does it mean? If I don't coronate Hashem, he won't be a king. If he creates the world, he needs me or you or somebody else to coronate him. And I think the most important idea is, and this is an idea that's discussed by the Baal HaTanya, the Alter Rebbe, by Shnei Zalman of Liadi and Likkutei Torah, and also in other works. The idea is as follows. The core of coronation, the idea of coronation is that God, who's infinite, and therefore didn't have to create a world, says there's something in each and every individual person that is so special, that is so beautiful, that is so amazing, that I don't want to be alone in my infinity. Even more important for me, even more important than me being perfect and infinite is that I should have a relationship with you. And that's why the whole creation came about. And the whole coronation is really God's vulnerability and saying and begging and pleading. Shatamli Gemara says, Hashem asks the Jews, Shatamlichuni aleichem. I want to be connected to you. I want to have a real relationship with you. I'm infinite, perfect. So what can be better than infinity and perfection? One thing, a relationship with you. So God goes out of his infinite exclusivity and isolation. It's not really isolation because there's nothing else, but I'm calling it isolation. And it says, no, I want you. The foundation is that there's something so marvelous and something special that Hashem feels in you and me and each and every one of us, and says that relationship is worth more than anything. Point number one. Point number two. One of the biggest triggers for people during this time of the year is all the confessions. In Slichas, in the davening, in the Yom Kippur, Ashamnu, Bagadnu, we sinned, I sinned, we all sinned. I'm not going to be arrogant and tell you that I didn't sin. I did sin and wipe out my sins, and please wipe out my sins. And I'm so embarrassed and I'm so humiliated. And as some of the questions that came in, I have enough shame in my life on a good day. This time of the year, I go to shul and the shame increases so profoundly.